Real life,
real faith, real grace.
Exactly.
You know, and finally, like, I watched my mom who finally left, but I was like, this can't be me. I'm not going to be the girl that, like, I get pregnant with someone that treats me this way.
Yeah.
And I have to live this out and literally live through. I'm breaking this curse, right? Yes. I'm breaking this generational curse.
Chain breaker.
So, so what's crazy though is there is a big segue out of that where it was kind of similar. We have this almost like very similar, and this is where one of the things that I could really relate to you was one of the things when I had left that because he was texting me. This was like before I blocked him. And I will say this one because this is exactly word for word what he said. He said, you know what? Forget you, but the worst word.
Right.
And he said, you're a fat ass and you're never going to get better than me. And that's what he said. And I don't know what it was about that, but it ticked me off. And I said, you know what? I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove you wrong. So all of a sudden out of nowhere, I got this fire in me to start really getting into fitness. And I'm working out. Long story short, end up meeting this guy out of nowhere who is like, I want to just help you. Like, I want to help you, like, do whatever you're trying to do because you look like you're trying to train for something. That's how hard I was training.
He's like, wait.
He literally, I swear, walked up and he goes, what are you
in triathlon?
He goes, what are you training for? And I'm like, life.
You're like, I'm just trying to prove him wrong.
I'm like, life. Like, and he's like, you're training for life. And I'm like, yeah, like, I need to get tough. Yeah. And he's like, well, let me help you. So he starts introducing me to weightlifting. And meanwhile, so now like I'm getting this like physical strength, and now I'm like seeking things. And meanwhile, like while I'm like working on myself physically and like building my confidence and building my self-love, and you know, fitness will do that to you. Yeah. When you get into that, like, it's like that dopamine rush, right? Like when you're like getting that newfound fitness, it's crazy. Like, and it's kind of hard because you start, at least for me, I was definitely playing this like game of vanity that I had.
A lot of mine was rooted in vanity.
Absolutely.
Though.
I was totally in this game of vanity where like I was really, thank you, like trying to, you know, eventually had to grow out of, but at the same time, like I was still like just seeking something bigger than that too. It was this weird simultaneous like game that was going on. And I start meeting some people, you know, around that scene too, that we're all wearing the crystals and we're all, you know.
It's always that like self-improvement scene.
Yeah. Yeah. Doing the yoga. It's really great for you to get stretchy, you know, and to stay limber. Mm-hmm. That led into, you know, the spiritual people that do that.
Yeah.
Start, you know what I mean? Then it became like the chakras. It was one step at a time, you know, and before I know it, same exact thing. I literally was feeling like so depressed and just so sad. Well, then out of nowhere, which I wasn't even really actively doing it at the time. I was kind of doing it for fun and just put a music video out, literally just because someone was like, you're a great singer and you should just put a music video out and make a song. Yeah. So I'm doing all this stuff, like dabbling, like with I'm self-searching so hard, right?
Right.
Like for anything that I can do to like find out who I am.
Yeah.
You know, identity. Like I'm literally trying to find out who I am and what I need to be doing and what my purpose is. So I'm doing it all.
Yeah.
So I put a song out and I didn't know it. The song went so viral. It was one of my first songs that I'd ever put out. And
what song is it?
It's called Burn. It's so bad.
Okay. Don't listen to it then. Should they listen to it?
No.
Okay.
No, let's skip over that one. Don't go. Go listen to something that I put out like now.
This is pre-Jesus.
Yeah, it's not the same. It really hit different when Jesus got involved.
Right. I love it.
He goes, so we listened to it. No.
Like, what song?
Oh my gosh. Oh, you were like, gonna plug me, and I'm like, don't plug me.
I really was. You're like, no, leave that one buried. That's crazy though.
I can't even So out of nowhere, the song starts going viral, and I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Right? And then
Was it a country song?
It was.
It was? Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I get this call out of nowhere from NBC's The Voice.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like...
I always wondered how you ended up on that
Yeah,
show.
I didn't try out.
If you guys didn't know, she was on The Voice.
Yeah, I didn't try out. I literally get this random call, and they're like, we saw your song, and we love your voice, and, like, it's so cool. I mean, it was, like, literally, it was so... How they found me was so unique that they even ended up, like, using the song on the show, like, with some of my stuff, like, which is not always common, right?
Yeah.
So, it was wild, because they're calling me, and they're like, yeah, we saw you, you know, we really want you to come out and be on the show.
Which is crazy, because I didn't know that they actually would do that, like reach out to someone to come onto the show. Yeah. I thought everyone auditioned, like...
Yeah, occasionally they'll just find someone that, like, might be doing something that they like at the time, and they'll just be like, hey, like, come out. So I skipped, like, all of that. And there's, like, a lot of processes to go through before you get to, like, what's on TV, right?
Yeah.
So I got to skip all of that. And meanwhile...
That's so cool.
Well, it was. But I was so haughty. So I get this opportunity on The Voice, and we were talking about the importance, like we had brought it up earlier. It's a little full circle, I think, like when I posted something and not to have that expectation that, like, all of a sudden I was just going to get all this love, right?
Yeah.
I finally was getting all the love, and I was not giving God any of the credit. Of course I wasn't. I didn't even know who he was. Like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, this ended up being one of the biggest lessons of my life, is being on this show. It was... So when I was on the show, I kind of refrained, honestly, from talking about a lot of the dark stuff. Yeah. I wasn't truly ready for that yet. So my story really became about my fitness journey, and I was just this light on the show. Yeah. I was, I'm coming in as, like, this awesome, like, bodybuilder, singer, like, queen that, like, I'm just so cool. Like, this is how I'm thinking of myself, okay? Like, America's gonna love me. I swear. I'm like, I'm Miss America. I'm not even kidding you. Oh my God, it's so funny saying it now, but these are all things I was like, okay, I was doing, like, affirmations. This is what I'm telling myself.
Yeah, you are a queen.
And I'm literally like, I am Miss America. Like, I literally am saying this.
Oh my gosh.
It's so funny looking back. So God laughed real hard on that one because I am filming on the show.
Yeah.
Things are going great.
Yeah.
And then I get a call, and I had found out that my dad had passed away while I was filming. Wow. And they wanted to turn no choice, they wanted to turn my entire segment about the abuse that I went through with my dad, and going from abuse to estranged to losing my dad and never getting to have a relationship with him.
Which one is crazy? You're on TV, and they just want to capitalize on your pain.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, this is really good. Talk about
what
just happened.
Like, that became the better story instantly, and they were like, you know what? This is it. And I'm like, no, I was not ready for it. Yeah. I immediately, 2 hours after finding out, I was put in front of a camera, and they wanted to talk about my dad. I legally cannot say what those details of that conversation were, but I had never been more offended in my life. That's what I will say. Wow. I mean, I could imagine, like, you lose someone and you're supposed to feel something, and you've never really had that opportunity, and to really, like, truthfully to that person directly figure out, like, where that... I thought I had so much more time. Somewhere in my head, I was like, there's going to be someday, I'm going to be able to, find a way to rekindle this, or, like... And I had to do a lot of, like, forgiveness stuff with myself at that point, because I never got to ever actually tell him that to his face. And I wanted to at some point. Yeah. I just wasn't ready yet. And, I've worked through that a lot. But it was something for a long time that ate away at me, because I don't know, who knows? Maybe it was ego. I just felt maybe I wanted that last word. I don't know, Yeah. But at the time, it didn't sit well with me, and they wanted to talk about it a lot. And long story short, I literally, in not nice words, I really, really cursed a lot back then. I told them to go forget themselves. And I they wanted to, you know, ask me questions, and I did not play their games. And very quickly, they found a way to write me out of the show, which is pretty much like the way it went down and how it felt. Because anytime I wanted to, you know, talk about something, I said, I'm not going there. You know, I'd be asked questions like, why do you need the show? And I'd be like, I don't. That's how I'd answer it. I'd answer the question.
She's Miss America.
I was getting so mad. That's a very Miss America answer, actually.
You're right.
You know, so I just got out of that show, and then I'm torn with, did I just make the biggest mistake of my life? And I had literally, I know it was him telling me, why didn't you just do what they wanted? Why didn't you just do what they wanted? That's what I hear in my head. Why didn't you just play the game? You know, why didn't you drink the Kool-Aid? I mean, I literally was like, why couldn't I have just been what they wanted me to be?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm like hearing in my head over and over and over again. And it wasn't until, I mean, I was so depressed at that time. I was so depressed. And in the meantime, I'm still doing this new age stuff, doing all of my affirmations regularly. And then I'm like, and you said it one time best, where you're like, you know, God forbid you ever have one wrong thought, being the person that's running your entire life. Well, meanwhile, I'm literally finding myself going bonkers because I'd have that one wrong thought and I'd be like, oh my God, my whole life's going to fall apart. And I'm going through a meltdown, like a literal meltdown.
Yeah.
And
because in manifestation, like the whole idea is like you are God and your thoughts manifest. So you like everything you do, everything that you say has to be in alignment with like what you're trying to manifest, which is so dumb. Like I don't even know how we like fell for that, because it's like
it's so much pressure.
So much pressure. It's so stressful. Because now I had a bad thought, and is it going to manifest? You know?
Like, what? Who am I? I'm such a terrible manifester. I didn't win the entire show, and my dad didn't die on it. And like I'm like literally like I'm mad at myself. I was getting mad at myself.
Wow.
How psycho is that? Like psychotic.
Crazy.
Like no wonder. You know what I mean? So it wasn't until and I mean I was like so deep down the hole, just like you. I'm useless. I might as well just take my life.
Yeah.
You know, I failed on this show. That was my one opportunity. I mean, I would hear it over and over again. That was your one opportunity. That was supposed to be your opportunity to be a big star. And you messed it up. That's what I hear.
Well, you know how it was the devil, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because his breath stinks.
Exactly.
You can smell it.
When he was whispering in my ear, I was like, oh, that's rank.
Right. It's literally how to identify the devil. His breath stinks and his lips are crusty.
Crusty. Like, I literally was about to be like, do you want my chapstick? so just to kind of wrap it up, really things didn't truthfully start changing for me for the better until I met Steve. And Steve's my man.
You guys will meet the guys soon.
Yeah, it really didn't, because Steve was the first person in my life to start being like, I'd start hearing him, and it was so subtle, and I could tell like he was just being like not pushy about it. He didn't want to be the person that scared me away even further, you know? And you know, you'd hear him, and he'd say little things, like something really great would happen. He'd be like, "Oh my gosh, thank you, Jesus," and I'm like, and I was like offended by it,
right?
Like I really was, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself like, how am I gonna make this work? Like, I've got this Jesus freak that I'm living. Meanwhile, I'm the Jesus freak now. Like, this Jesus freak that I'm living with, and like, I don't know about a long term. And then he just kind of started growing on me, and then like all the things that he would start telling me about, you know, some scriptural things, and I'm like, huh. So I kind of start, you know, poking around, and I get this next opportunity to where I am introduced to have this record deal, and this record deal was what you'd consider my dream deal. You know, it wasn't a 360 deal. It was a deal where it was called a hybrid deal, where there's just a lot more opportunity for like the creator. Yeah. And I'm gonna wrap it up pretty quick, but long story short, the deal did not necessarily go the way they said, and I have to be careful if I'm in personal conversations, obviously, but for this, I got to be careful about what I say for my contractual obligations. But it was not what they promised. I mean, this was a team that it was more than just overpromised, underdelivered. It was still them trying to push me into being something that I really didn't want to be.
Yeah.
And I think what really did it for me was that time period, that 2 years on the record deal, because at that point, I just started having this feeling, and it was the first time I was starting to hear words like, look to me. Like, stop looking to your music. Stop looking for everything else and focus on me. Yeah. And I remember, like, just being, you know, in my room, crying on my knees. I'm like, this is just another thing that failed for me. And just being like, take my career, take my finances, take it all. Like, I don't care anymore.
Surrender.
Yeah, and I was like, it's all to you. And, like, even still, it's not been perfect, but, like, the things that I've been able to do since then, and more importantly, like, literally the peace beyond, you know, understanding, like, it's crazy. Because, like, since then, like, I don't have the anxiety or the depression. Like, that like, instantly went away.
Wow.
And, you know, it's been amazing because he really, really led me to that point. And I remember telling him and started talking about Jesus. And he remember the first day because he's like, when I met you, he's like, you would literally, like, something wouldn't go and you curse. Like, I'd actually curse word to Jesus.
Wow.
And I was terrible. Like, I would scream at him and say the worst things you could possibly say. And he'd be like, but he still loves you. And he literally, like, yeah. And he, you know, he would just always bring me back in.
Yeah.
And, you know, finally, I just believed it, you know, finally, like, when I felt like the weight wasn't on my shoulders anymore, like, that's, thanks, babe. That was kind of the, like, this is real. Like, people talk about this because I'd always hear about this peace that surpasses all human understanding. I'd always hear about it, and I'm like, why does everybody else have this peace but me?
Yeah.
But it was because I never, ever really gave anything to him. I was still putting everything else in front of him and, you know, making that what was so important. And it really took me being able to just be like, you know what? Nothing I'm doing is working anyway. I'm constantly running in circles. And this sucks. Yeah. And, you know, like, at this point, I'm over it, and I'm just going to give it to you and take it and just let it just do whatever, because I'm not doing it right.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And when that depression was gone and that anxiety was gone and I didn't have to,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
How many years have you been doing the yoga and the fitness and trying to do it? And in one moment with Jesus, it's gone.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah.
It's Jesus.
And that's kind of where it all changed for me. And then since then, it's like every day, I almost can't not put him, like my day is not as good if Jesus isn't there first and I'm not, you know what I mean? And but the good thing is that it's cool because it really isn't even about a timing thing. I started realizing, I mean, you grow, right?
Right.
And then it became, oh, it's okay. I can pray to him right now. Like, it's okay. It doesn't have to be like in the same spot, like this this holy sanctuary that I made. Like, it's going to be on the couch next to my diffuser with my, you know what I mean?
I do have my little spot.
I know.
But we like, we have spots everywhere. Right. Basically. Like,
right, exactly.
When he's integrated into your life.
Exactly. And you know, you start learning these things, and I really realized, I'm like, he's right here. And of course, like, I love my spot. Like, let's be honest. Like, that's where I want to be. But sometimes, like, life happens, you know, and then I'm like, okay, like, I'm feeling this come on, and I'm like, I know you got this. And I let it go. And it's like, it's crazy what becomes after that. So.
Yeah. And I just want to say over you, because I love, like, I don't know, I came in, I feel like, just recently in the last few months in your life, and I have never met someone as hungry for Jesus as you.
Thank you.
I'm not even kidding. Like, this girl will be like, okay, tell me this, and tell me this, and tell me this, and how can I do this? And, you know, I invited you to the inner healing workshop that we did, and you, like, showed up, and you were just so ready to go, and I love that about Jess, and I think it's so interesting because that is exactly what the enemy was afraid of in you. He was afraid of you realizing who you truly were, which is why, like, a father figure is supposed to be someone who instills identity into us. And your earthly father was someone who literally instilled the false identity into you and tried to steal any identity that you did have. And so to come back from that, still find Jesus, like find your voice. And like, when I tell you that Jess is so bold, like for even just coming out with the song I'm Seeing Red, and like we connected over her boldness. Like I know people who haven't walked through what you've walked through, and they can't even tell their waiter, like, I want to take my food back. Because that was me. I literally couldn't do that. Like, no, it's fine. And it's like disgusting, you know? And so just seeing how God has completely used you and transformed your heart despite what you've been through, just know she's a world changer. Like, for real. Yeah, for real.
Well, I feel the same way about you. And I'm just so excited because we've got to tell our testimonies now.
Yeah.
And all of these little things that we've gone through are now going to be like what we're going to address in these subjects for the future.
Now you guys will understand why we're passionate
about
this stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so grateful for you. I love Nina so much, and we love y'all, and we're just so grateful for your time and whoever stayed in listening, especially through this chaotic episode. The devil tried to come in, but Jesus said, heck no.
Right.
So we're so excited because I'm just glad we got episode 3. And we hope that you guys can take those testimonies and use them to be whatever they can to just get you closer to Jesus in your own way. And we're just so excited to keep continuing.
And I think a common theme in both of ours was identity. So stay tuned for the next episode because we are going to dive deep into identity.
Absolutely. So join us next time for episode 4 of Let's Get Biblical. See y'all soon.
This podcast is and always will be a free resource for everyone seeking to grow in their faith. If Let's Get Biblical has blessed you in any way and you'd like to support what we're doing, we would be incredibly grateful for your help.
Your donations allow us to continue creating content, expanding our reach, and sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ with people around the world. Every contribution, no matter the size, makes a meaningful impact. If you'd like to give, you can find our links in the description area. Most importantly, we ask you to continue to keep this podcast in your prayers, that God would use it to touch hearts and change lives. Thank you again for joining us.